Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Professional Overrun Podcast. Host Ty here. I'm here with Bob Claus. His nickname is Santa Claus's cousin.
Santa Claus's cousin, sure.
There we go.
That was Russell's nickname for me.
There we go. I think we were trying to figure that out yesterday. It was like brother-in-law and cousin, and it was, so I had to clear that up first of all.
Santa's cousin. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So professional guide, engineer, do a little bit of both still, but primarily guiding now.
Yep.
Let's jump right into it. I know everybody wants to hear a bunch of information about Green Bay. We're going to postpone. We're going to push that back just a couple minutes. Talk a little bit about background information, a little bit about social media and what you do as far as videos and stuff like that. Because as we talked a little bit beforehand, you're a little unique as far as what guides are offering on their page, which is really, really cool. Something that I followed for the last few weeks when we were kind of warming up and talking about doing this.
Yep.
So social media pages right away, give them a call out. And
primarily I'm on Facebook, Finfanatic Charters. You can find me out there on that. I do have an Instagram page. I post on there once in a blue moon. But my primary one is my Facebook stuff where I jump on that. I'm on Snapchat too, but I don't do a ton on it. I follow stuff on there. I don't post a lot on it.
Okay, what's the page name so guys can check into it? I think we should have it tagged already, but
yeah, it should be just Finfanatic Charters.
Okay,
right
perfect.
Up on Facebook. Yep.
Perfect. And how did you get started in one? Guiding is obviously a completely separate thing, but as far as the videos and stuff that you do, they're very impressive. The live streaming is something that I noticed is definitely different. And so I know you talked about doing some Lawrence classes and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
I've always
social media.
I've always one of the reasons that I got into guiding was to teach, right? Teach people my knowledge and share that knowledge that I have developed over the years. So, normally we're having so many opportunities throughout a season to do seminars, whether you're talking like at boat shows, fishing shows, or just for clubs or other small events. I mean, I do normally, a dozen, maybe just under a dozen seminars throughout a year, any given year, across the state. So with everything being shut down for COVID this year, I know some of us are like, this really sucks. And again, going into spring, they've already canceled boat shows. They've already canceled fishing shows. So, we're all like a little bit like, what are we going to do? Or, everybody's been kind of mulling around like different things. And I thought, I still want to get out there and provide that information for people. So I thought I would try to do some of these little live seminars, either from my boat, my home office. I mean, I'll try to maybe even do one out on the ice this winter, to provide that information that I normally would have done in a seminar, because I still have it all. It just, we're not being able to get out there and talk to people and communicate and share that passion and that knowledge with people. So, so that's what I decided to do. I sent a quick blast out to different social media outlets to see if there was an interest in it, and was overwhelmed by the response.
Right.
hundreds of personal replies, and 15,000 people or more saw the post and commented. So I put together a list of potential topics. I've done 2 seminars already. I did one kind of wrapping up my river fishing season. And then I did one a week ago on Lowrance basics, electronic. It was more on electronics basics, right? Sonar, GPS. I mean, I'm Lowrance guy, but the stuff I do, I'm trying to be a little more broad, so it's not just very, specifically focused on Lowrance.
Sure.
So, and I've got other ones planned coming up. We'll talk ice. We'll talk whitefish, maybe a little walleye ice stuff. Getting towards the spring, we'll do some trolling stuff. There's a whole gamut. Jigging Green Bay is a whole topic that everybody always wants to hear about. So jigging walleye in Green Bay, I've got a whole presentation for that. So.
Very nice. No, that's awesome. So again, guys, most of that is done, or all of that is done on Finfanatic Charters page.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
So some of these videos are extremely in-depth, and they're very, very good information on there. If you guys want to know more, feel free to swing over and check those out after the live stream, because we got some great information coming shortly, right?
Right, yep.
All right. So guiding professionally, 13 years experience?
Just finished my 13th season of guiding here in Wisconsin. I've been in the state for 26 years. Coming up on 27, moved here for engineering work. I'm a degreed engineer from Michigan Tech up in Upper Michigan.
Nice.
I lived up there my whole life up till moving here. So I always had a passion for the outdoors. Grew up with a father that, we fished, hunted, we did everything like that out. That was our free time, was always outdoors somewhere. And my grandfathers, both of them were outdoor guys. From the time I was a little kid till a teenager, I spent every summer living with my grandfathers. They lived about a block apart. So my cousin and I would go and we'd literally get our chores done and grab rods and head down to
That's the best.
Head down to Lake Superior and go cast off the pier head or whatever. We were always fishing. So.
Sure.
Yep.
Nice. No, that's always awesome. You said 7+ years experience guiding on the ice then as well.
Correct. I've been on the ice on Green Bay my whole time in the States. So 25, 26 years of ice experience, but I started guiding probably around 8 or 9 years ago on the ice. I did for whitefish. I did some portables. Most people that are familiar with the whitefish scene up there know that that's kind of what it exploded. Probably started exploding around 10 years ago.
Sure.
It really started gaining popularity. I did a little guiding with portables. And then from there decided, I'm going to invest in some hard shacks, built 3, and then every year it's gained 3, 5, 8, 11 this year. So
nice. You just built another one, right?
I did. I just finished this week. Literally just finished number 11 to put on the ice.
Very nice, man. These things look awesome, by the way. Fully insulated.
Yep.
All the comforts and stuff inside of there.
Yep. You'll roast in there.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. One question I never asked you before the stream was like rates and stuff like that. If you want to give a call out, anybody that's interested, I'm assuming you might have a couple spots open left.
Yeah, we're booking fast. I've been booking any given day, probably 2 to 3 trips a day right now. But we have a lot of volume, a lot of capacity. So we're not full yet. Saturdays are the dates that book the fastest. I've got several of them in February that are getting close.
Sure.
To being booked. So if guys want Saturday dates, Saturday, Sundays, call sooner than later. I know there's no ice right now, but don't wait until you find out we have ice to call and book, because if you wait till then, we'll be booked.
Right.
But I do weekday stuff too. So, I'm scattered all over the board. Any given day of the week, we usually can make you get you out there and accommodate it. But yeah, we're filling up now. I've got 3 different packages that we run for ice fishing for whitefish. Primarily, it's the rental package. That's the one that we'll have a lot of guys calling for. And we do it a little different. There's a few guides that do similar to me, but most of them are a little different. So we do a $50 per person rental package. That's you bring your own rods, bait, and tackle. We pick you up on shore, run you out to the shacks. The holes are drilled. They're where we're going to fish for the day. Heat's on. Give you some pointers on what's been working, what techniques, kind of show you what we've been doing a little bit. Get you started, and then throughout the day we come back and check on you. And I've always been I'll run through the packages first before I get into that. So that's the basic rental.
Sure.
So $50 per person plus tax.
That's pretty much, you basically supply the shack, the travel,
Yep.
and everything else is provided by.
Correct.
By
Yep.
the
You bring your
anglers.
own electronics, rods, bait, and tackle.
Perfect.
Yep. And then we do an upgraded package, which is real popular, and it's one that I recommend for a lot of people. Even if you have your own ice equipment, is we do a $60 rental plus equipment package. With that package, we're going to put a rod in your hand that matches what we use on our guided trips. It's got the line we use, the baits we use. We're going to provide you with that little bit extra to help you stay on the bite and feel the bites, detect them, and catch the fish. Versus, a lot of guys will come out in the rentals rigged up with you name it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I've seen everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Guys come out with a string of 3 baits on a line, and I don't even know what they are. Or spoons that look like salmon spoons are going to drop down there because they heard spoons are good. So, I'm being very serious. We get everything under the sun when they show up. So if you do the upgraded package, you don't have to bring any equipment. Just bring your lunch. We hand you the rod. It's $60 plus tax per person. It's an extra $10.
Nice.
So it's a great package, real popular. And then we do fully guided days, fully guided trips. We provide all the equipment. One of us, so I've 3 guys that work with me on the ice. So one of us actually fishes with you. Now we're not there like the whole entire day because we have to run around and check on everybody as a group. But we spend a large amount of time in the shack with you, one-on-one, fishing with you, directing you, making sure you're doing the right things. making sure the technique is there. Because if a lot of times we'll come in and show people the technique, leave, and come back an hour later, and the technique is all over the board. They're jigging off the roof. I mean, it's just crazy. So that fully guided package, you get that one-on-one instruction throughout the day in a more focused effort. And we also cook you a hot lunch, brats, burgers, potato salad, chips, cookies. We bring out a whole spread out. So get a hot lunch on the ice for the fully guided trips. That's $125 per person.
Oh, still, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, pretty reasonable. And I know I've had the one question I get all the time are, can just the two of us come? Is it just two people? Are you going to put us in another shack with other people, or is it just one guy? I actually have two shacks that are literally 2-person shacks, hard shacks.
Nice.
So I did that specifically for those kinds of days where I've got one guy that wants to come out, or a couple that wants to come out and they don't want to, sit with another couple. And I don't do that anyway. Depending on how I book up, it's very rare that I would ask somebody to sit in a shack with another group.
Sure.
So it's your shack for the day. And that's for the full day. I mean, we pick you up, we start around 6:30 in the morning picking people up, and run roughly every 30 minutes picking groups up with the machines. And then first group, we usually try to round them up about 2:30 and head in. And so you get about 7 hours of time on the ice. Or unless you get your limit, if you know what you're doing, you can bug out early. So
nice.
And I have a whole bunch of little gas grills on the ice we provide for people no charge. If you want to cook your own brats and stuff, we'll drop off a grill.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good deal, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was $50. I might have to take you up on that myself. So I've never fished whitefish through the ice on the east shoreline.
Sure.
I've spent the majority of the last 6 years on the west shoreline, which is a completely different bite.
Yes.
You're pretty much primarily deep water, heavier baits, stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah, that's our goal every year is to get out on deep water. Really target those whitefish where they're coming in to feed heavily on the edges of the deep structures. We may fish as shallow as 30 feet, but a lot of times it's in that 60, 80, 90, 100 foot zone.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. And then like last year with the kind of cruddy ice we had early on, we set up off of some of the bays and we're still fishing that 15 to 30 foot break until we could actually get out to deep water.
Sure.
But so there are some shallow opportunities there. And like those opportunities are nice early ice sometimes because guys can double up and catch a few walleye. We do the walleye trips mixed in with whitefish stuff, but it's that Green Bay walleye fishery is not what some people may think it is for ice.
For ice,
I mean, it's outstanding for open water.
Right.
I mean, we clobber them open water. I mean, but everybody looks at that and thinks it should be another lake of the woods and come here for ice fishing. It's not really that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are guys that know places to go out and catch a bunch of eaters and some fish throughout the ice season. But, we target it as a trophy fishery in the ice season. We'll add on like a morning or an evening walleye trip to your whitefish package for an extra $50.
Okay.
I'm really honest with my customers when they call for that. If you want to book it the first week in February, I'm going to tell you, just save your money.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to go for it, we can certainly put you in locations where you're going to have an opportunity. But those fish get so picky; they don't feed heavily. They come in and cruise at night. And if I had 8 guys fishing, 10 guys fishing on an evening in February, we'll be lucky if we catch one fish. I would consider that a success.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It gets rough then.
Yeah. And you might have some lookers that come in and chase the bait a little bit or come in and stare at it and then swim off. You're probably just going to catch a whitefish. I mean, but then when you get to the end of February and March, that's when we start to shine a little bit.
Sure.
Your opportunity goes up. The days are longer. The fish start feeding before they're going to go spawn.
Is that mainly because fish are transitioning towards better areas or something like that?
I don't know. I think the biggest thing we see on Green Bay, especially like I'm up in the Door County area, for ice, is that crystal clear water. Once you get ice coverage, and even in the fall now when it's not as dirty, that crystal clear water I think drives those fish to not feed as heavily.
Okay.
They go a little bit dormant in that February, especially February. They'll kind of lay off on the bottom on that deep water. Again, they might come up at night and cruise a little bit and pluck off a few easy targets, but they're really hard to entice to bite that time of year.
Okay.
And I think that has a lot to do with that crystal clear water. Though I have seen in years past on the lower bay, if the river water or dumping out is dirty, and the water, say Dykesville area around Swamico, and some of that stays dingy in the winter, dingier. I have seen where University Bay and some of those reefs and stuff going up that east shore up to Dykesville produce a decent walleye bite.
Sure.
If guys can get out on it. So especially early ice. So that's something for guys to keep in mind if they're looking to chase. And be careful, obviously, but that early ice, if you can get out there and that water's dingy, you can have a pretty good walleye bite. But
nice. Now, that's one thing that I haven't heard is I've heard a lot about the current,
Yep.
A lot about temps and stuff like that. I have not heard a whole lot about water clarity affecting the bite. So that is awesome to know.
Yeah.
I'm not a white or a walleye person through the ice. Like, I'll be the first person to tell you, like, I have no confidence targeting walleyes through the ice. My deal is like perch and crappies out in deep basins of lakes and stuff like that where nobody else is fishing. So, like I said, I'm probably gonna have to take you up on that. Maybe for Christmas and stuff, I'll have to my dad a package and stuff.
There you go.
We'll see what we can do. We'll go out there and go catch some walleyes and whitefish.
Yep.
No, that'd be absolutely awesome. What else were we gonna talk about? Obviously, like you said, you're in the Door County area, so if guys want to get a hold of you and stuff like that, they can expect kind of a range and stuff like that where they're
Correct.
gonna be at.
Yep, up near Sturgeon Bay somewhere is usually where we're starting to run people out.
Sure.
Usually if we book, like I've been telling customers, usually the best thing is give me a shout back a few days ahead of time because we can move locations. Last year we started the season picking people up in one spot. And we made an adjustment a couple weeks into the season to another location, which was a couple miles away. And then when we finally were able to settle in to where we were going to be, hopefully the rest of the season, we adjusted again. So,
Sure.
So it can change, with the way the conditions are. So,
Well, like any good guide, you're adjusting your bite and stuff like that.
We're adjusting to where we can get on safe ice and where the bite is, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
Conditions.
Well, that's perfect. I see you brought some stuff with you.
I did. Yep.
So normally the question that I always like to ask is if you had any tips for somebody that wants to get out, and go chase whitefish and stuff like that, what are your top 3 baits going to be? It looks like you brought them with.
I brought 3 baits with me. Yeah, our favorite 3, or my personal favorite 3 that we use when we guide. Back in the day, everybody used spoons and Gens worms and stuff like that, and we certainly can still catch fish on your Swedish pimples. They'll work with some wax worms, but we've made some transitions in the last few years to some different baits that seem to be more productive. One of the keys. And I always tell people that a lot of it has to do with your presentation and making that bait look like a goby. That's what those fish are there for when we're on those deep structures. They're coming in to feed on gobies and bloodworms. They're digging around the bottom. The more you can put something on the bottom and make it react like a goby and look like a goby, the higher your chances are of catching fish. So, we've migrated to baits that we can kind of tune and make them look like a goby on the bottom. One of my favorites is a jig and wrap. And all my rods that we use for guided trips are St. Croix Mojos. This is the Mojo ice rod, the 28 medium light, so 28-inch medium light rod. So that's got a nice soft tip. You can detect those bites. And then again, a jig and wrap. That's a black and gold jig and wrap. That's probably my number one bait on the ice. For years and years, I've used that. This is a number 3 size.
Sure.
Some guys will use a 4, which is fine too. Number 3s work fine, depending on your current. Sometimes you may have to bump it up a little bit. And you'll notice on all my rods, I still run a slider hook, slider rigs. A lot of guys are getting away from it. They feel it gets hooked on the hole sometimes, stuff like that. I still like the slider. I think it buys you enough extra bites a day that it makes it worth it.
Sure.
Especially for guided customers or the guys that are using our rental equipment. If you can buy 5-6 extra bites a day on that slider, I think it makes it worth it to have it in there for maybe one fish you might lose because it gets caught on the edge of the hole.
Sure.
So I still run a slider, just a single octopus hook. I believe these are size 6. That might be an 8. 6s or 8s.
Yeah, one of those two. And
then just a little barrel swivel up here. And then all our rigs are braided line. I am a huge believer in braid. I run Suffolk ice braid. This is what we run primarily. It's 6-pound Suffolk 832 ice braid.
Yep. Very good line.
Yep, I love it. I mean, that's what all my rods are rigged up with, 6-pound braid, and then we're using Suffix fluorocarbon as a leader. We jumped up to 8-pound last year. Starting last year, we were using a lot of 6, but we noticed we were breaking off more. People were kind of rough with equipment sometimes, so I can finesse a fish up from the bottom. But if you get somebody that's excited about catching that whitefish and they're cranking the heck out of it, they snap it off. So
that's not a small fish either.
No, not really. I mean, our average size is probably just under 2 pounds.
Sure.
A 17, 18-inch whitefish, that's a nice solid fish. And we get some really big ones. Some of the pictures I sent you, which we were going to try to put up, but we couldn't. We had some really nice ones last year. Probably some fish in that 4 to 6 pound range last year.
Right.
So those are some really nice beasts. And towards the end of season last year, we really got into a school of fish that were probably averaging a lot closer to 3 pounds.
Nice.
So some really nice solid fish. Through the ice. So that Suffix leader line, and I'll kind of take this one apart a little bit to show you a little better. But this is another rig. We started, plastics. The last few years, we've
come
really
on strong in the last.
Yeah, they've really
years.
come on strong, and we've played with a bunch of different ones. The one thing that we liked a lot last year was primarily this head. We've tried a few different plastics on it. This is a Ned head. For all you bass guys out there, it's a standard 1/4 ounce. I think this one's a Z-Man, 1/4 ounce Ned head. We've used a few different styles, but that Ned head, the way it kind of hits the bottom and kind of rocks a little bit.
Sure.
And then plastics, we've used a variety of different little drop shot plastics. Again, anything you can put down there that looks like a goby. I know guys really tuned into those wild eye shads a couple years ago. We still use those. Heavy current days, it makes it harder to feel the bottom with them.
Sure.
The one thing we really noticed about running like a jig head like this with some type of a light plastic on it is that it's easy to feel the bottom. The customers, when they're jigging it, they have less trouble hitting that bottom, making sure they're on bottom.
Sure, you got a direct contact with a hard surface there, so it transfers more energy.
Yep, absolutely, and it's a much easier technique than running something finessey for people. The jig and wrap sometimes that's a number 3. Like I said, it can be harder to feel that bottom sometimes if you get some current. Where these Ned heads with a little Kitech on it or whatever, darker colors primarily. Again, looking like that goby rip ears, the olive colors.
Sure.
Pumpkins. I think this is like a pumpkin color of some kind. But again, I got that slider up here. On the sliders, a lot of guys will use wax worms, and I really prefer Berkeley Gulp wax worms.
Really?
Yeah, they last longer.
On there too.
When you put a slider on, and we've used flies a little bit, and I know some customers will come out and they have a small fly tied on instead of a slider, just a really tiny trout fly or a little tiny fly up there, and that'll trigger bites up there too on that slider. The thing with the slider is when you're stirring up that bottom, it puts a lot of sediment up into the water, and the whitefish are curious. And you'll see them if you ever watch them on camera. They'll come around and peck at the particles that are floating around, and that's why that slider works. It's not necessarily that they're feeding suspended. It's just as they're cruising around, they'll see that little particle and come up to it and suck it in. So it doesn't matter a ton what's on there. It's just something to give them a target to look at and grab it out of the water column.
Nice.
Yep. So the flies will work good, but that's why I like those Berkeley Gulp waxies, the little white ones. I mean, I got jars of them. I should have brought a jar, but that's what we use the most, especially our guided trips. Now, you can use regular wax worms. The thing with the regular wax worms, if you miss a bite or if you set the hook, it pulls it off. Then you got to pull it all up and bait it again. The Gulp waxies, just hook it once, just one little dangle off the tip of that slider. You can fish almost a whole day with one little piece of wax, plastic on there.
Nice. So. Have you tried the? I know I'm going to get asked this. Have you tried the beaver tails at all in there?
I have not. I have some.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of those. Every year I buy a whole bunch of different stuff, and it goes in a bin in the shack in the supply shed, and then we rig up things, and we'll rig up a few things, and then as the season gets going, we find ourselves gravitating to the same stuff.
The same stuff.
Well, the guys are out there when the guys that work with me, they're retying things, and they're just grabbing the same things and retying. So it's like, come on, guys, we got to try something a little different this time. We're gonna go out and fish for a little bit. Why don't we grab something different? I can kind of talk a little bit about, we're a little bit different on the way we tie our slider rigs up here. So I don't know if you can see that. So the braid, I have the braid tied to the fluorocarbon just with a back-to-back unit that works simple and easy. And then we actually run sometimes a 3 to 5 foot leader of fluoro. So that's a big, long piece of fluoro on there.
There's a long leader.
Yep. Then we put the slider hook with the swivel and then run that dropper about 12 to 14 inches, 12 to 18 tops down to that. This provides you the opportunity to retie a little bit if you break things off. But it also, we've noticed these fish are so spooky. Over the years, I think they get in tune with some of the baits everybody's banging in front of their face, and they get a little more spooky. And I think that longer piece of fluorocarbon can help you out versus just tying it right to the braid and having that slider go up and down there.
Sure. So you're talking the difference in tying a line-to-line knot, and then having a chunk of leader, and then having your slider on the leader versus going braid straight to the swivel.
Correct. Yep.
And then a small chunk of fluorocarbon.
Yep. So we're running basically two chunks of fluorocarbon on these rigs like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And then the third rod I brought, my third choice, if I was going to take three things out, so jig and wrap plastic, and then everybody's favorite, I think it's everybody's favorite, slick jig.
The hardest one to find.
The hardest one to find, right? This is one of those classics where everybody started using them around here and they discontinued it.
Yep.
And when they first discontinued it, myself and a few other guides were like we were on eBay, running to every store you could buy every last slick jig you could, because then the prices went through the roof at some point. But they've made a little bit of a comeback, being able to get a handle on some. Yep. I know there's guys that have made their own molds.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. When a bait works, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everybody wants it. So, and I do a bunch of. I run some standard ones. This one's a custom. I've got a bunch of custom Gobi colors that Doc's Customs has painted for me over the years. In a Gobi pattern, those work really well. He does some jig and wrap stuff for me too, but Nick over there. But that slick jig, and we'll tip it with a minnow tail, or we've done some plastics on it.
Okay.
Yep. Just depends on the day, and any given day we could have all these rods in the shack for customers. If you came out and did the rod package, if you had 4 guys in a shack, you'd probably have 6 of these rods, 2 of each in the shack for everybody to kind of play with and see what's working the best and where everybody's getting a handle on. And we did find last year there were a lot of times once guys and girls got the handle on those plastics, I mean, it was just lights out. We couldn't tie. We couldn't tie plastics on fast enough to keep going.
Nice. Now, when I came in here and you had these on the table, that plastic is big.
Yep.
So I've seen pictures of guys pulling like 5-inch gobies out of whitefish.
Yes.
Is that a common thing?
Sure. So, yeah. If you take a 17-inch, if you had a whole pile of say 17-inch whitefish and you cleaned them, I would bet you'd find at least 1 to 3 fish in there with a bigger goby like that in them in their belly. They may not have a bunch of little ones, but they'll have a big one in there.
Nice. So the profile really isn't a huge deal. It's more or less making sure it mimics a goby.
Yeah. Yep. That is the key. When we set you up in the shack and give you the basics on the technique, a lot of times it's the critical part, especially where we're fishing in that deep water, is pounding that bottom. And guys kind of mistake that for heavy jigging, right?
Right.
That's not it. You're not like ripping the bottom. I mean, there are times where they'll be aggressive and stuff. Whitefish are typically not a super aggressive fish. They don't chase baits. I've had guys ask me, "Well, do you catch them in the summertime?" A couple, but not really. You're not going to go out and in wavy conditions and drift jig for whitefish. It's going to be tough. Somebody's going to write in here and say, "Oh, I did it." I'm sure
all the time.
I'm sure you did.
Oh, the comments like that all the time.
But they're not a dynamically chasing fish like a walleye. They won't follow a bait and attack it, So you have to put it in their face. You have to be a little methodical with it, but you have to give them a chance to bite it, and that's the biggest key. If there are days where you can constantly keep moving and not stop in a general jigging motion, but you have to make contact with the bottom. And a lot of times what people don't realize is that brief contact with the bottom sometimes is enough of a pause for those fish to pick it up.
Sure.
But a lot of times we'll coach people to, you're stroking the bottom, lift, And when you hit, make sure you're on bottom. So when you go down with your rod, slack the line. Make sure that line slacks. And that's the beautiful part about braid. It's so easy to see that slack. You don't have the coil of mono. So you can see that immediately when it slacks. Slack and then lift up. And no matter what you're doing, you have to pause once in a while. Even if you're doing real slow jigging, just stop. A lot of times, we joke about this a lot on the ice when we're out there with customers, but this happens on a daily basis. We'll have a shack full of rentals or fully guided, doesn't matter. And we leave the shack or we're not there. They're all in the shack jigging, 4 guys, and they're in there jigging. Maybe they're catching a few fish, doesn't matter. I'll walk over and open the door. And when I open the door, somebody catches a fish.
Sure.
And they're all like, "Oh, you're good luck. You should stay here." I said, "Well, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with when I opened the door, they all stopped."
Sure.
Literally, that happens. They're jigging away, talking, drinking a beer, whatever they're doing, having a good time. And the minute I open the door, everybody stops and they stop and look at you.
Right.
And boom, somebody will get a fish because the fish were there. They just were a little too aggressive at the time.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. God, I'm kind of excited to go out and ice fish now. I'm not, man, I'll be the first person to tell anybody, like, I'm not a huge fan of ice fishing. Like, there's nothing I would rather be doing than flipping into a patch of grass for big largemouth. like that or dragon tooth or smallmouth. That's just like what I enjoy doing. So ice season, it's a sad time for me personally, but just talking about this, like I love catching whitefish on the west shoreline. Look, completely opposite bite. I mean, same baits, same presentation with the goby patterns, but just in like 15 feet of water or less.
Yep.
And it's mainly sight fishing, which is awesome too. Yeah. But ice over on that side, super sketchy normally.
Yeah, the shallow water gets pressured pretty heavily on the east side, and that's what really starts to push those fish. When you get a heavy traffic pattern or a lot of people running around, four-wheelers,
stuff like
people
that.
drilling holes, I mean, that'll definitely push the fish, and that's one of the reasons we like that deep water. Not that they don't spook in deep water. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that gets mad when people set up in our set. Let's say that. Like, so if customers are out fishing and you get it, you're just going to have it happen, right? I mean, it's the wild, wild west when it comes to the ice in Wisconsin. Get it.
It's all public water.
It's public waterway. I don't ever care. I've had guys set up right on top of my shacks. I don't make us think about it. It's not worth it. I'll even talk to them. What I find funny are the guys that'll walk 2 miles if like somewhat sketchy ice conditions or not easy travel for like a truck, or they don't have an ATV or whatever. So they'll walk, 1.5 miles, 2 miles offshore to get to where we are and set up like right next to us, which is fine. I love going over and talking to them and tell them how many spots they walked over that have whitefish on them. I mean, that's one thing that I coach people on this. You can come out and fish by us. I don't care. But if I wasn't guiding on any given day, and I was going to go chase whitefish, like just me and my wife were going to take a portable and go chase whitefish, I wouldn't set up near anybody.
Oh, right.
I'd go find a reef hump, a hump somewhere, or the edge of a hump. Look at my Navionics map and pick a spot out there somewhere away from a mile from everybody and set up. Your odds of catching fish are probably better than being near a whole line of shacks with the UTVs running back and forth.
Sure.
I mean, that's why everybody wants Saturdays, but Saturdays are probably the toughest day to catch fish.
That makes sense.
Yep.
More traffic.
By far. I mean, middle of February, Saturdays, you come on and we're going to get fish. We'll catch them in the morning. We'll catch them all day. Some guys will do better than others. We'll have people that'll struggle. But guaranteed, if you came out on Thursday, you just pound them, because the Thursday there's less traffic, less going on, less commotion in general.
4 or 5 days after the weekend, everything's getting quiet.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday when things are quiet, guaranteed you come out, just pound them like crazy.
Well, there you go, guys. If you wanna go have success out there targeting whitefish and stuff like that, it's not the worst thing to pick a weekday.
No, not at all. Not
Definitely.
at all.
All right, man. You also do so you do Lowrance classes with people, like a one-on-one style deal.
Correct.
As well?
Yeah, I do that as part of my open water guide business. I've been with Lowrance for I want to say like 11 or 12 years. I can't even remember anymore.
Sure.
I have to look back to see how many folders I have with contracts in them. But I've been with Lowrance Electronics for a long time. But I do, at some point, I realized there was a need for more coaching, right? You talk to enough people at seminars and store days and stuff like that, that you realize that there's, and now especially on social media, if you look around, there's people always asking questions. I don't understand this.
Tips,
I think I messed it up, or how do I do this? Or my machine's just not working right, or can I get the latest updates, whatever it is. And I said, you know what? It's probably not a bad thing if I put myself out there for, like a 2-hour session in your boat type thing. So, and that's what I did. So I do 2 hours of on the water Lowrance training in your boat with your electronics. We meet at a dock somewhere that's convenient between the two of us. Most of the time it's around Green Bay. They're Green Bay people or Appleton people. I've done some on Winnebago here.
Sure.
We get in the boat. It's $150. We go out for 2 hours, bring a notepad, bring a buddy, bring your favorite fishing partner, bring your wife. Doesn't matter. I've had guys bring their kids. One kid that's always in the boat with them because they want to understand it better.
Sure.
Or grandpa brings his grandson, that kind of thing. But, and I start with the basics and run through every aspect of your Lowrance unit and kind of get it set up for you and kind of show you more than just turning it on and using it.
Sure.
And then run through a bunch of different stuff. I've even had tournament guys book me for 2 hours to go out and do this.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to throw any names out there because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But I've had some pretty prominent people that have asked me to come in, check their setup, look at it, and they know those guys know a lot, right? Those guys, that's their job to go out there and learn and understand that stuff. But it's funny that how many people I get in the boat with of all different skill levels that I've never left one of my sessions yet that somebody hasn't told me they learned a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah. So it's a great experience. It's really not expensive. And I do a ton of that every year. It's easy. I mean, I can do them. I can guide all day. I can come off the water. I can meet you at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock at the landing for 2 hours somewhere. Especially in the summertime, it's daylight till 10 o'clock. You get a couple hours and get you all set up. So
well, that's nice. I wanted to give one more call out to anything else that you do, and that was the other one that I had starred here that I wanted to make sure people knew if they might not be interested in a guiding trip, but at least they know a little bit more as far as the skill set that you have and another opportunity that maybe they can learn something from you from.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing that.
Perfect. One more call out, social media. Finfanatic Charters on Facebook. That's your most active account there. Is it the same name on Instagram?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Just in case anybody does want to follow you or something like that, maybe catch a 10.5 pound whitefish or something like that this winter, and I'll see that picture on Instagram. So, all right. Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks for coming in and stuff like that. We covered a lot of different stuff as far as Green Bay ice fishing. When do you think we're going to have ice?
The magic question, right?
Right.
Not today. I know it's cold out there, but not today. It was pretty open all over the place. I was looking at some of the long range forecasts yesterday a little bit. So, man, the way it looks right now, I'm hopeful that we can start running some shacks out maybe that second week in January. Okay. I mean, some of the back bays froze up a little bit already, and guys were thinking about poking on them, and some guys were in some of the sloughs and things. But, as far as getting out there to chase whitefish or walleye and around some of those spots, I'm hoping we can start. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me right after the new year or close to there. There's people going out in some of the areas, but maybe by that second week, we can be starting to run some shacks out. I'm hoping for earlier than that. The biggest issue you always have with Green Bay is that wind. You can have a week's worth of 5-degree days, and if the wind's blowing with it, you're not going to make a lot of ice,
right?
Or it's going to be nasty ice.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, when it was really calm here like a week ago, and we did get it cold a little bit. Man, I was like, it could stay calm like this for a week with cold temps. We haven't. It's been a while since we've had a year, and the guys that fish Green Bay long enough know there's only so many years where you get that sheet of flat ice out there for a long ways. It's been a few years since we've had a good, flat, clear piece of ice to play around on where the snow doesn't stay, it blows off. There's always rough, jagged spots where we have to make roads and, chisel through to get the machines and shacks. I mean, it's just a nightmare. But people don't realize how much stuff we go through. I mean, everybody thinks you just jump on and run out there. We're out there fishing. It's not so easy. I mean, you have to have a passion for it. Because it's a lot of hard work, especially ice. Ice is a lot of hard work. I mean, guiding open water is hard work too, but that ice season, it's a condensed, roughly 10-week period, give or take, and very focused, and it's a lot of work to maintain all that. But I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. The guys that work with me enjoy it. And we love having people out. It's a great time to meet so many different people in the wintertime.
Now, there was something that you said that was, because you mentioned roads, that I thought was hilarious. You said if you build the roads, they will come.
Right.
You're talking about everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Right? Yep. So when we first get out there, and if you get a lot of snow or whatever it is, and we have to plow a road, or if one of their guides gets a truck out there and plows a road, a lot of us have jumped into using tracks and stuff in the last couple of years. The roads are nice because it's convenient, faster to run with the tires and the machines. But yeah, I've always said that if you build it, they will come. You build a road out to the shacks, you're going to have people out there. So
sure.
If somebody sees the first pickup truck out there, if there's a truck plowing, then they're going to be down there with their UTV following you out. So
sure.
Yeah, it happens. That's what funny, it is. Man.
Yeah. There was a couple comments that I saw in here. There's some people having conversations in here as well. So
Brian Bell, my boat dealer at Cedar Lake Sales, is watching. Hey, Brian.
Yep. Nick Ackley, Mike Lewis.
And Mike, yeah, so that's a funny one. Mike's daughter Morgan and him have been not threatening. Mike is not an ice fisherman.
Okay.
So he's been, I really should come out there with you guys. And every year I'd say, well, we're saving a shack for you, Mike. Mike, I'm still saving a shack for you. We've got you all set up. That brand new one is perfect for you and Morgan.
Oh, so there we go.
Get your date in, Mike. We'll get you out there. He'll never come out there.
Well, now you called him out.
I called him out, right? Come on, Mike.
All right, and then Trevor Gantz says the Guided Life Ice Fishing Edition.
Maybe. Who knows?
There you go. We'll have to get back in touch with Matt there. Yeah. What else we got? What else? Mike asks if you clean your fish for him.
Actually, no. And this is an interesting topic.
That is actually interesting.
It is an interesting topic. I absolutely hate cleaning whitefish. I would, if you brought me a cooler with 100 walleyes, I would gladly clean them. If you brought me 10 whitefish, I'd be like, nope, sorry. Maybe it's not that bad, but whitefish are a challenge. I actually did a video. It is on my YouTube channel. I do YouTube stuff a little bit, not a ton. People can still find it. Maybe I'll share it today when I get home. I did a video on filleting, how to get the pin bones out, how I do it.
Okay.
It's a little methodical. The guys that do it professionally are just, they rip through it. But I did that, and that actually got a lot of likes. I shared it 2 years ago, and it got a lot of likes again. So maybe I'll share it again today. That was a good little video showing you how to get the pin bones. And that's the problem, right? The stupid pin bones, and then the thin skin when you're trying to take the skin off is a pain in the butt. For us, we kind of partnered with Dan Lindahl of Lindahl Fisheries. So Dan is a commercial whitefish fisherman. He, in the last bunch of years, has got a big shop right near where we access the ice. Huge building. And Dan cleans fish in the wintertime. So, some of the guide operations do have their guides clean fish for you, or they will, but usually it's charged. It's like $2 a fish, give or take, for cleaning and bagging. We just send all our customers over to Dan. It's literally just down the road. Dan, he's got a machine that they run them through. If you've ever go look him up, go check out the videos. There's some awesome videos out there. They just did that meat eater. It was in here last year, and they did an episode filming some whitefish.
That's interesting.
They're what's it called, Fur Hat Ice Tour or something. They show there's a great video on there showing the operation up there at Dan's place. So, but it's Dan's $2.50 a fish. That includes all the pin bone. They scale them, fillet them, pin bone them, and lightly dry them off, and then vacuum seal them.
Nice.
It's a great operation for $2.50 a fish. I don't have to mess with it.
It's hard to beat.
And I send him over to Dan. So he's right on the way out from where we fish. It's a great operation. I always send everybody over there. So
nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
A couple other people rolling in here. Charlie, I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name.
Oh, that's my son-in-law.
Okay, there you go. Says, can't wait to get on the ice with you again. Keith says, nice job, Captain Bob. Good information.
That's my neighbor, Keith.
Okay. And then Steve Harris. Hey, Bob. Talked to Clint and Tom the other day. Talked about coming up as soon as the shacks are out.
Absolutely, Steve. Get your dates in. I know Steve comes up a couple times a year with me.
Nice.
Him and his son, Clint, they actually stayed with us up at our rental house last year. So
there you go.
Yep.
Bob was very helpful when I purchased Lowrance at Cabela's years ago. Good guy. I tell you everything he knows. From Jason.
Cool. Thanks, Jason.
Rachel says, please do a video on cleaning pike.
Rachel and Kyle actually run an ice operation. Rachel Cromwell and Kyle Wogsland, they fish very close to us.
Oh, you got this pulled up. I don't even need to read them, dude.
Yeah, I can see them. I just was looking at it. Yeah, so Rachel and Kyle fish right near us, and Kyle's also a guide, open water too. And I met Kyle salmon fishing years ago. That's how I first got involved with Kyle. But he, so Rachel, we've done a few tournaments together. NTCs where we traveled together for the NTC. We were up at Sault Ste. Marie 2 years ago, and they were talking about they had kept a couple pike from we had fish fry during the week for all the guys that were staying at the house. So I showed Rachel how to pin bone a pike, how I pin,
Sure.
So she was like, "Wow, that's so cool." So yeah, she wants me to do a video on cleaning a pike now.
Well, there you go. Heck,
Rachel, you bring me a pike if you guys get out in the next few weeks, and I'll clean it on a video.
There you go.
I promise.
There you go. I think that's gonna about wrap it up. I've got to get to the front of the store to go.
Yeah,
to go
busy
help
days.
you guys. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna jump up the front of the store too. You got any of the head-to-head shirts here still on the shelf?
I think they're actually. We do have a couple back
I
here
was gonna
yet.
see if there was any around.
Yeah, I don't even know if we got them on the shelf up there because we're kind of reserving them for like the gold members and stuff.
I'm a member. That's why I wanted to get one today.
There you go. Perfect.
Absolutely. I always support head-to-head. I love what you guys do. That's awesome.
Yeah. Have you fished one at all?
Yeah, I fished. I fished three of them.
That's
two of them.
That's what I thought. I remember watching. And I was
three of
like,
them.
God, I can't.
I did one. The third one on the Fox was supposed to be a Marinette. I did that one.
Yep.
I got bumped out by a couple ounces by Scott Allen, and then who ended up winning it.
Right.
And then I fished the one out of Metro that got canceled on us. With the heavy winds that destroyed all the docks. I won first day doing some three-way rigging in the channel, and then we had to shut down and didn't get back out there. Unfortunately, that sucked because the bite was dialed in.
Ooh.
I was pretty pumped about that. I'm not saying I could have won it. I'll never say anything like that.
Right.
But I'm not one of those guys that's one of my favorites. Guys that'll show all their pre-fish like, oh, we're gonna kill it, and then they suck during the tournament.
Yeah,
but that happens so much. I just laugh. I would never do that. But
I do that all the time.
Yeah. We lost our winning fish at the back of the boat.
Right.
That's why you didn't win, because you lost it.
Right. That's very true.
But yeah, and then I did the one on Winnebago. I did one of the Winnebago challenges there. So
rough.
Lost that one to Rich Stadler. Rich is a great guy too. Lost that one at the last minute to Rich. So, but that's okay. It was fun. I'm hoping we can do a couple regionals this year, and I'm a member of the Sheboygan Walleye Club. We're going to affiliate.
Nice.
Most likely, Kyle's supposed to come and talk at one of our meetings and give guys some more information.
Very cool.
But I love the head-to-head. I support it. I mean, I would have done the professional one or applied for it, but being a guide
cuts a lot of time.
Yeah, I'd rather be on the water teaching people. Nothing against it. I think it's such a great opportunity for those guys. Bunch of our Yarcraft guys are in it, and that'll be cool to watch all of them this year.
Definitely.
Brett and Joe and Josh and Randy Gaines. Those guys are cool.
Nick's comment there.
GD Fish, right? That's where Bob's OG came from.
Right.
Nick painting me some colors. Yeah.
That's funny. So that was actually before I started working down here, as far as the springtime ones. So I was full-time job and stuff at other locations, so I didn't get to watch all the episodes. So excuse me if I didn't.
That's okay.
Pull it off the top of my head there. I'm gonna have to go back and watch them now. See, that's the thing. Like I don't like getting embarrassed on my own stream, man. That's funny. But all right, guys, I've got to wrap this up. We've got to get on the floor, and hopefully, if you guys are watching, feel free, swing on in. We're open till 2:00 today in the front half of the Reel Shot. Come on out, talk fishing.
Yeah,
I'm here till 2. So with that being said, guys, I can't thank you enough for coming on, Bob.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. It was awesome.
Yeah, maybe we can get back together in the springtime.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. I've been meaning to get down here. We talked for the last couple months about coming in and doing it, so it was good to get down here and hook up before Christmas. And everybody have a Merry Christmas out there.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yep.
And safe travels to everybody else that is going to be on the road.
Absolutely. Don't wait to book that ice trip, people.
There you go. Hey, you know what?
Good Christmas present.
Great Christmas present.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a great Christmas present.
Right. Perfect, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.